Welcome to All in Yellow,
the official Norwich City podcast.
Today we have a young woman born in Norfolk who's flown the nest to become one of England's brightest footballing prospects. It's Manchester City and England's Lauren Hemp. Lauren, great to see you today. Thank you so much for joining us on All in Yellow. How are you and how are you finding this latest lockdown?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you, and I hope you are as well. Obviously, it's a bit annoying at the moment with all the lockdowns, and obviously we've just come out of one and we're back in one again, but I think obviously it's important that everyone's staying safe and doing the right things and that we can hopefully get back to a more normal world as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we're not too far away from some kind of normality. But I want to start by taking you right back to the very beginning. You were born in North Walsham, weren't you? Just tell us about your childhood memories.
Yeah, so obviously I was born in Norwich Hospital and I lived in North Walsham and obviously grew up with both my parents and my sister, and I think I was first interested in football back when my sister was interested because she first started playing football, and I sort of followed in her footsteps really a couple of years later because she was a couple of years older than me, so started everything a bit before me, and I think I just wanted to be like her. So I think that's what first started me out into playing football. And I think it was originally my granddad who watched me play and out in the back garden with my sister, and he was like, I think I have some potential. So yeah, I think it all really started from there. So that was like some of my main childhood memories, like of first playing football.
Well, Lauren, I don't know. I've seen you play football because I work with the foundation. So when you first came into the Centre of Excellence, your name was constantly going around the offices. Have you seen what Lauren Hemp's done this week? Have you seen what Lauren Hemp's done this week? So I think them spotting your potential early, I think they were bang on with that one.
Yeah, I actually didn't get when I first trialled, I didn't get in the first time round. Yeah.
Who was responsible for that? Let me
I'm
know.
not
I will
actually
find
sure.
out.
How did you find that though? How was it? Did it, obviously that was a knockback, but did it spur you on even more?
Yeah, so I think that was probably like my first sort of knockback, I guess, setback in my career, and obviously I had to experience that quite young, and I had to watch my sister like get in. I think that was her like second year running that she'd got in, and I was left having to do the PDC, and obviously it went too bad, but I'd rather have been in the Centre of Excellence, and obviously it was quite sad for me, but I mean that did just spur me on to sort of work even harder to then come back next year and get in, which I did, but I had to then spend another year at my local boys team. But I mean, I guess everything happens for a reason, and there was obviously a reason for me to not get in, and I think that just helped me sort of drive me even harder to wanna get in next year.
What was it like playing in a boys team? Was that North Walsham?
Yeah, so it was North Walsham Boys football club, and it was good, and I think it was a good start to my career because it definitely helped me physically to be more stronger, and I think that's one of the attributes I have now in my game is being strong and being able to hold off people on the ball, and I think that sort of stems back from when I used to play in a boys team, because not only did I have to play in one before I joined the Centre of Excellence, after when it got closed down I went back to North Walsham and played for the boys team for another year at under 16s, and I think that also helped me as well because obviously they're a lot bigger and stronger than what females are, so I think that's defo helped me in some of the attributes that I have now as a footballer.
So, Lauren, when you did get someone finally got it right and said, yeah, we'll have her for the Girls' Centre of Excellence, what was it you noticed about the environment that was created for you there that helped you progress as a footballer?
I think one thing that I enjoy about being a footballer is the social side. So it's being involved in a team, and you obviously go through everything together, winning and losing and things like that. And I think that was one of the main things that I enjoyed about Norwich City Centre of Excellence. There was lots of different age groups, right from under 10s up to under 17s, and it was nice to be involved in like getting to know different people and always seeing a new face around the club and things like that. Like a few times I got to train up with like a older age group, so it was nice to then meet new people, sort of speak to them as well, and everyone's got a different story, and I think that's one of the main things that I enjoyed about being part of a team.
Well, that social skills that you mentioned there, Now, I hope you don't mind me embarrassing you, but when I was doing some digging around and talking to people that knew you in the Girls' Centre of Excellence, they said that Lauren Hemp was a brilliant footballer, but perhaps a little bit shy to start with. Do you think that being involved in that environment helped you for what was to come in your career?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm still probably not the most confident person that people have met, and I think that's what sort of makes me the person that I am. Like I say, I'm quite humble, like I'm quietly confident, like I know in myself that I can achieve things and that I can do well, and but I sort of like not let it show and be overconfident, things like that. So I think sort of being quiet and things like that like isn't such a bad thing. Like I still got on with a lot of the girls, and like it's helped me with my social side. Like as I've grown up, like I've met a load of new people where I've had to socialize, and obviously meeting the England captain for the first time, like there are things that like I was just sort of taken back and like not as confident as I was to certain people. But I think definitely being involved in football and meeting as many people as I have, that it has helped me improve my social skills, and it is something that I want to keep working on because I want to be more confident in myself and more open. But I think me as a person, like I am quite quiet and humble, which I'm happy about. Like I don't mind it.
You certainly don't lack the confidence on the pitch. I mean, you've talked about some of your attributes there, and I remember reading Nick Cushing, his glowing reviews when you moved to Manchester City, which we'll obviously come on to in a little while. But you've talked a lot about the support from your parents. How crucial has that been in keeping you grounded and remembering where you came from, in a sense?
Yeah, definitely. Like the support from them's been vital for me. Like when I was younger, they were always taking me to training, coming to watch my games, always supporting me, always watching from the side. And it's nice to know that they're supporting me and wanting to achieve big things. And they keep pushing me. Like my dad's so interested in the football, and he's always criticizing things that I've done and that. And like obviously, I'd rather him say all the positive things, but he's obviously got those things he wants to say, and it's nice that they're so supportive of me and wanting to push me to be the best that I can. And not only am I doing it for myself, but I'd also like to make my family proud, and I think they've reminded me loads of times that that's what I'm doing. So it's nice for them to have something to do as well. And I know that my nan watches the games as well, and it sort of brightens up a Sunday afternoon. So it's nice to know that I'm making people smile by doing something that I love doing.
Mm. Everyone who knew you here at Norwich, they always talk about what a brilliant support network you've got and how wonderful your family are. Um, they don't like to take too much credit for the Lauren Hemp on the pitch now, but what would you say your coaches have done for you in the early stages of your game as well?
Yeah, I think they were really supportive as well. Like it's not only my family, but it's the people who are coaching me, my teammates. Like they've all been supportive, and they've helped me in my initial stages of development. Like they've sort of given me the freedom and the confidence to sort of start running at players, taking people on. Like they've been sort of pushing me and wanting me to do that, and that was important at an early age, because if I didn't have that, then I wouldn't have as much confidence as I did, like I have now, going into games and things like that. So that was important from like a young age to sort of start that development, I guess. And like I remember, obviously, as much as I hate to say it, like when I used to go away on tours, like I literally couldn't get to sleep because I was so homesick and things like that. And just it's just the little things that help. Like I knew they were always there for me. Like they stayed up till about 1 a.m. until I could get to sleep. Like it's things like that that not only the football side, but the side away from that as well, that's definitely helped me into the more confident, sort of free player that I am.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear all that family support you had, and you were so young as well, weren't you, when you initially got into football? I think were you 8 when you joined the Centre of Excellence?
Yeah, it was something like that. I think 8 or 9. But obviously I'd started playing a couple of years earlier for a boys team. But like it's always been football really. Like I've never sort of, I obviously have played other sports and tried different things, and I did have a big passion for cricket as well. And up until the age of 16, I was like balancing them both. So it was like quite tough to do that. But I've always been a sports person, and I've not really like found an interest in many other things than that.
When did you know football would come over cricket?
Well, I've always thought about this question, and it's like quite hard to explain because you never really know when, unless you're sort of juggling them both. And I was actually all right at cricket as well, and it wasn't until I sort of committed myself to Bristol playing football that I thought, oh, I'm not actually going to be able to play cricket anymore, and I'm not going to be able to do both. So I think it wasn't until like I committed myself with the football that I realised, oh, it's actually the cricket that I'm not going to be able to do anymore. But like I still enjoy watching it and would go back home and go to the nets and play a bit as well. But it's just unfortunate that I obviously can't carry on doing both because football's now like a whole year round sort of thing.
Obviously, not everyone, Lauren, gets the opportunity that you've had to go on and play football as a career. Some of the other girls that were in the centre of excellence with you are still involved in the game. How do you think that being in that environment has helped them with their progression away from a career in the game as a professional player?
Yeah, I think I've seen on like social media, like I follow all the Norwich platforms, and it's nice to see that there's some girls that I've played with who are now onto coaching roles and things like that. And like it just sort of like I'd like to be a coach when I'm older once I finish playing football, and it's nice to see that they've started that early because obviously when you're involved in the game, you know what's going on, you know, you can see things that other people can't see, and so that's why you see a lot of footballers now turn coaches. And like it's good to see that also Norwich are putting trust in them from seeing them play as a player, then putting trust in them to then go on to be a coach at such an early age. Like it's nice to see, and it's nice to know that that's happening in my hometown.
Yeah, and you say you obviously follow the careers of people from Norwich, but I have to ask, are you a Norwich fan?
Yeah, I am.
Were you brought up as a Norwich fan with your family as well?
Yeah, so my mum's probably less of a football fan than what my dad and my sister was, but they were sort of proper keen in it before I started playing. And then obviously when I started playing, like I've always been a Norwich City fan. Like I hate to, like even when Man City are on the TV, obviously I'd love them to do as well as what Norwich are doing. But obviously it's my hometown, and I'd love to see them do well. And it's nice to see that they are doing well. And it's just a shame that they're obviously in the Championship now, but they're doing so well in the league that hopefully they'll be straight back up to the Prem anytime soon.
What got you to fall in love with Norwich City, Lauren? What are your earliest memories of watching the Canaries?
Well, one of the memories that I'll always be disappointed that I didn't fully experience was when Norwich went to Wembley and played in the Championship playoff. You know, I think it was against Middlesbrough. My sister and my sister and her friends went, but I was just really disappointed that I couldn't go. I think I was on an England camp at the time, and it sort of fell at the same time. But I was well excited to go and see that, but sadly I couldn't.
It was a good enough reason to miss it though, Lauren, if you were in an England camp.
Yeah, yeah, that's a pretty good excuse. But no, I've always like gone and watched the games when I can, and at the moment, obviously, I can't. But in the past years, when I've come home for Christmas and during the summer, like I've tried to get to the Norwich games as much as possible. Like I do enjoy watching them, and they play really good football, and it's nice to see. And obviously, a few players that stand out for me was I enjoy watching Wes Hoolahan when he was at the club. He's sort of a creative player and one that I try and sort of show in my game. And also when James Maddison was here, obviously he's doing really good things at Leicester at the moment, but it was nice when he was in the team. Like it's good to see the players come through, and obviously now playing for some Premier League teams, but hopefully Norwich will be back up there where they belong.
Yeah, who else do you model your game on then?
Probably in the female game, I try and look at female role models, um, such as there's Kelly Smith, who was an Arsenal legend. A lot of the girls in my team, like it's crazy to think that I'm now playing with a lot of England senior internationals. For example, the likes of Jill Scott, Steph Horton. Like it's crazy that I'm playing in a team now with them, even though I looked up to them when I was younger. So it's those type of people that I look up to, and also being in the team with them, like I see what they do outside of training, like what they eat, how they prepare for matches, how they prepare for training, and it's nice to see that every day because it sort of rubs off on me a bit. And it's like sort of helps me in my preparation and think, what can I do better to be like them or achieve things like they have done.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, you've beaten players to the Young Player of the Year award twice. You're the current Young Player of the Year, aren't you? That must be special.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes it's nicer to win an award from teammates and players who you've played against who have picked you for this award. And I was pretty shocked to win it this year, let alone when I won it in Bristol, because I thought no one even knew of me. And it's nice to be recognised by players who have not only concentrating on their game but can also see that you are a threat and you can play football. And it's nice to pick up little trophies like that. Well, obviously not little trophies,
Little
but
trophies.
trophies like that. But obviously, like, my main goal is to win trophies, leagues, championships with my team, and it's nice to win individual trophies like that along the way.
She did say she was humble, Alice. So yeah, when she plays it down,
just a bit.
small trophy.
Obviously,
But
I'd
yeah,
love to win it again though.
oh no, yeah, definitely, and we fully expect it, Lauren. But you've reeled off some absolutely mammoth names in the game of football there that now you rub shoulders with, obviously at a distance at the moment. But you know, these guys are your teammates, and these are people who you grew up watching. You must have to pinch yourself. Have they been brilliantly welcoming? Do they put an arm around you?
Yeah, definitely. Like, taking it back to when I used to play at Bristol, like when I come up against the people in the Man City team, in the Chelsea team, Karen Carney, people like that, like legends that I've watched on TV in World Cups, like it was crazy to think, oh my God, I've just been on a pitch with them. Oh my God, I've just tackled one of them. I'm better than them. Like that's what you think when you've tackled them once, and yeah, you get ahead of yourself. But like it was pretty surreal. I've kind of only just started to get used to playing against like people, top players like that. And obviously now at City, like we're sort of bringing in Americans like Sam Lewis, Roosevelt, people like that who have just won a gold medal at a World Cup. Like it's crazy to think like the people that you come up against, who you play with. And like I said earlier, when it comes down to social skills, things like that, it's the people you meet along the way that sort of makes the journey what it is. And it's nice to be able to experience it now alongside these players instead of against them and losing about 10-0.
Well, you talk about the journey, and you've obviously really put the hard graft in to get where you are now. Just talk us through how you came to become professional and when you knew that Bristol were interested.
Yeah, so I sort of had a thought of what clubs to go to as I was coming to the end of my sort of journey as a Norwich City Centre of Excellence player. And one of the girls in the older age group, Flo Allen, she first went to Bristol. And I sort of spoke to her about the journey and how she's finding it and things like that. And she really like encouraged me that it was a good option and that she loved being there and enjoying the environment. Like it was fantastic, like the facilities, they had the college alongside the play-in, so when you're not at college you're playing football, and it was all on the same sort of campus, and it just sounded pretty amazing. Like I also went to had a look at Notts County, and I went to a couple of other places, but I think when I went to Bristol, like everything just fit into place when as soon as I went there. Like I actually stayed with Flo and a couple of other girls in a host family for a couple of years while I studied college and then alongside the football. And firstly, it was me playing in the development squad, which is the one below the first team. And then while doing this alongside college, and then it wasn't long before Willie Kirk, who was the manager at the time, said, like, we'd be interested in you training full time with us while doing your college as well. And it was hard to sort of balance the two because a lot of the girls were doing the devs and then the college, whereas I sometimes had first team training while missing college and sort of had to pick up sort of on the work. And me and Flo were obviously doing the same, and it was nice having someone back from home who we shared lifts going. Well, I didn't share lifts because I couldn't drive at the time, but she drove me back home like now and again, and it was nice to sort of have someone from Norwich who'd done the journey with me. Also Amy Palmer, who's still there now, who's gone back to sign with them, like she was doing that as well. So it was nice to have sort of like a group of us who come from Norwich who were now at Bristol, sort of carrying on our careers as hopefully a professional footballer.
That's quite a little hotbed of talent there that's come out of Norwich. And the Girls' Centre of Excellence had to be restructured in 2015. And I remember at the time the FA said it's because of there's not enough talent in Norwich or Norfolk.
Yeah, I think obviously there's a lot of talent that have come from Norwich, and there's Flo, Amy, Beth and Roe as well, who's obviously at Brighton now. And so there's a lot of girls who have gone on to be successful in professional football. And obviously we'd had to find a way. It was hard to obviously leave home at 16. That was one of the sacrifices I had to make. And it's sad that girls have to do that from the area that we come from to sort of pursue a career in football. But I think sort of doing that, like, that's a sacrifice I've had to make, and that's helped a lot with my independence, sort of doing things on my own. So I'm now used to being away from home, and obviously the other girls have done that as well. And it's nice to see that even though we did get shut down, that a lot of the girls have carried on trying to pursue a career in professional football. And it's nice to see that Norwich weren't like, right, that's it then, like, we've been shut down as a centre of excellence, we're not going to do anything else. Like, there was different opportunities, different options that the girls could go down, and obviously now there's a development process in place that can help girls achieve what they want to do at Norwich. And then
And Norwich to Bristol is quite a journey, Lauren. You said there you were a little bit homesick. Was it true your parents were on the phone most nights? Did they get to come and visit at all?
yeah, so I still FaceTime my parents most nights. So it's nice to see what they've done during the day, and they ask me what I've been doing, and it's nice to sort of have that, because obviously leaving at such a young age, like, I've missed out on quite a few years of being around my family, sort of seeing them every day. So it's nice to do that. And so yeah, it's obviously it's nice to sort of stay. Obviously I'm not away, like, I'm still part of my family. So it's nice to speak to them every day and sort of stay connected.
Were they there for your debut? Because you scored, didn't you, on your debut for Bristol City? Was it against
Yeah.
Watford?
They're gonna hate me if I say no, and they were.
They were.
I don't think they were, not for my debut, but they've definitely been to a few games, because obviously, like you said, it's about a 5-hour trip to get to Bristol, and it's the same to Manchester as well. So I mean, they probably think, for God's sake, which club are you going to go to next, with a journey that's so long. But yeah, they are literally at opposite ends of the country, and it's hard for them to get to games. And at the time, at Bristol, my mum wasn't very well, so it was hard for her to come to the games, and for my parents too. So I think obviously they come to as many as they can, but it is a massive journey, and they do have work commitments. So
Sacrifice
it's hard for them
is reaping rewards, isn't it? So that must make them very, very proud as well.
Yeah, and it's good as well, because the growth of women's football, like, the games are now on TV, BBC, the FA Player, which is an app on the website that you can get, like, the games are streamed on there. So they don't necessarily have to be at the game for me to know they're supporting from afar, and they're watching the game. Like, I know my dad will definitely be watching all the games, and like I said, my nan also. So it's nice for them to have something to watch, like, because obviously a few years ago, 5-10 years ago, that they weren't on TV. Like, people couldn't watch it unless you actually went to the games. So it's nice for that now, so that they don't necessarily have to be there and make that 5-hour trip to get there.
You said, Lauren, when you were away at Bristol, your mum wasn't very well. And I remember this, but she smashed out some fundraising, I think, with your help as well. So she's done brilliantly there. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously don't want to take any credit for it, but she done fantastically well. She cycled 300 miles, I think it was, for obviously breast cancer research. And yeah, she raised over 1,000, something like that. Sorry, it's not off the top of my head, but I know she done really well, and I'm really proud of her. And it's nice that people have supported her and given money to her, and a lot of the people I know as well, from sort of City supporters, as well, Man City supporters, and people from back home as well, who have been fortunate enough to sort of give money and donate. And it's obviously to an amazing cause, and she's done really well. And I'm really proud of her for doing that, because obviously she's been through a hard time, and she's now out the other side of it and wanting to give something back to the amazing doctors and nurses that helped her.
That's really good to hear that she's doing really well. And your mum was obviously really proud when Man City came calling. I remember hearing that, didn't she say, right, I'm going to have to call and check that this is real? And of course it was real. How did that all come about?
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing, really. So someone called me. I'm not sure now who it was, but they was like, "Oh, Man City are interested." And I thought, this is like some cold caller, someone who's like randomly found my number and picked the best team in the league to say that they're interested in me. And I was like, to my mum and dad, I was like, yeah, someone just called me to sort of say that Man City were interested, and they was like, "Are you sure?" And then I think my mum called, like, got Nick Cushing's number. I don't know how she got it, but she called him and was like, "Hi, someone's rang Lauren and said that you're interested. I didn't think it was true. Is it?" And he basically said, "Yeah." And I didn't know that she was doing this call, but now looking back at it, I'm quite embarrassed about it. But yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, it's true. Like, we are interested and would like to speak to Lauren." So yeah, I think they were pretty shocked about it, but obviously all worked out well in the end.
And how has Mum's career as a football agent progressed since then, Lauren?
She's not had anyone else come to her asking to be their agent, but you never know. She wears my jacket a lot on dog walks, so I think she thinks she's some sort of England City agent, sort of waiting for her first call up.
That is amazing. And obviously, so you moved to City. What was that like, having the move up from Bristol City to Manchester City, one of the biggest clubs in England? How did that feel?
Yeah, it was pretty incredible, really. Like, I went to see their facilities with my mum and dad and sort of sign and do all the photos and stuff, and it was unbelievable. Like, the ground, the training facilities, like even the car park, like the whole thing was just in one area. And there's like this bridge that goes over to where the Etihad is and where the men's play, and the men's train where we do as well. So like, the facilities are unbelievable, and it was sort of an opportunity that I couldn't turn down. Like, the caliber of players as well, England internationals, like every player pretty much is now a senior international at our club. So it's pretty incredible, like the players that we do have and the players we are attracting from the likes of America, places like that, who want to come to the WSL and play. And so yeah, it was an opportunity I couldn't turn down, and I knew that I was going to improve if I went here. So it was sort of I couldn't say no, really.
Just tell us a little bit more, Lauren, about how Man City have incorporated the women's team and the men's team, like you said, using the same facilities. It takes a lot of investment and a lot of ambition to achieve something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's not only that as well, like the social media side, like the men and the women sort of have the same social media platform, which is really good because, like, not only are we attracting the men's, like, we're not only attracting people who'd only watch the women's game, like it's also the men's game as well, who see this and see how the women are getting on. So we have sort of like the same city, same passion thing, and there's always reminders on socials that sort of we are one club, and we're all in this together, really. And it's nice to see the support from millions of people who are seeing what we do, and having that same social media platform helps with that because it attracts a lot more followers.
What's been your best moment so far playing for Manchester City? Am I right in thinking you hadn't been to Wembley before and then you scored at Wembley?
Yeah, so yeah, like you said, I hadn't been there before, so it sort of made that even more special. Um, yeah, so we were playing West Ham in the FA Cup final, and like, I didn't even expect to come on, really. Like, I was pretty nervous, and I was there sort of tapping my legs away, sort of really nervous if I was going to play. And I came on for the last 15 minutes, and yeah, 5 minutes later I scored, and it was an incredible feeling. Like, I just thought, oh, just go on there and enjoy yourself and like express yourself, because there was 40,000 people there. Like, I'd never experienced anything like that, and I thought, just do what you normally do. You're here for a reason. You've been asked to play because they believe in you, and sort of give it everything you got. And I did, and I had a few chances on goal. I actually hit the post again, so I nearly scored two, and it was pretty incredible, really. that's probably been the highlight so far at City. Like, I'm hoping for Champions League medals and things like that. So hopefully that's something to look forward to. But having that already sort of gives me a good platform to work from, really.
Yeah, I think, Lauren, at 20 years old, is that right?
Yeah.
Is it 20? Yeah, 20 years old to say, right, I've scored in the Women's Super League. Yeah, okay. I've scored in the FA Cup final. Brilliant. I think you've ticked off a Champions League goal as well. Have you done that as well?
Yeah.
So you really have now got to be setting the bar as high as it can possibly go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got long-term career goals that, like, obviously people only dream of, and I'd love to get there. And I think anything's possible, really, if you believe in yourself, trust the process, and do everything you can to make yourself a better player. And obviously, I've got Young Player of the Year, PFA Young Player of the Year, like twice already, which no one's done before. And I'd love to win it again. I've still got a couple of years to do that. And I think I like setting myself goals that seem too far away for people, but I know in myself that, like, if I work hard, then I can achieve whatever I want to do. And like I've said, I want to win Champions League medals, and it's going to take a lot from the team, but I do believe that we can do it. And like, it's sort of dreaming of the impossible that I sort of, like, people say that I'm fearless, and like I do believe that in a sense, because I know that, like, if you work hard, you can achieve what you want to do.
And Lauren, you talk about that FA Cup final there. That was, I think, 43,000 fans to watch you. Where do you see the growth of the women's game going from here?
It's pretty, like, mad to think how much it can grow, like, in the space of 2 3 years. Like, it's come on leaps and bounds. Like, when I first went to Bristol, it was still like only 1,000, 2,000 fans coming to some people's games. It weren't everyone's game. Like, not everything was on TV, being able to be watched. And it was like 2 3 years, and then suddenly it's now 40,000 fans. Wembley finals, like, people could only dream of going to Wembley, like a few years back. Like, some people older than me had only experienced Wembley at the time I did. Like, it's crazy to think that I'm sort of in my prime years, where the game is growing, and it's growing rapidly, and hopefully it will only, like, increase and quite quickly. And hopefully, like, at some point some point in the future, it'd be amazing if we were on par with the men's game. And obviously, hopefully it'll get to that point one day.
I suppose it's not just the exposure that's blown up over the last few years. The game must be a different game from 10 years ago. The level, with access to the training facilities like you've got access to, the standard of that Women's Super League must be incredible to play in now.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I've only been in it for 2 3 years, but the 2 3 years that I've been in it, like, the standard's been, like, unbelievable. Like, you come up against world class players every single week. Like, I come up against them every single day. And like, it's not only that, it's behind the scenes, the staff, the players. Like, we have about 30 players at the club who are all fighting for a position, like, who are all good enough to play. We have staff of plenty who's also 20 30 people who are behind the scenes doing different jobs, trying to improve us all as much as they can. And like, you wouldn't think that there'd be that many, like, 3 4 years ago. And like, the game is changing, and it's great to see. And it just makes you think, like, what can actually get better in the next 4 5 years, and what's it going to look like what stadiums are we going to be playing at, what are things going to look like in the future.
But what you say there, you talk about the staff and the setup that you've got. There'll probably be people that watch this and go, well, hang on a minute, why can't Norwich City women have that straight away? But that kind of paints a picture of the level of investment that's needed and perhaps the time it takes. And while Norwich City have, the relationship with Norwich City women is now getting better, the exposure is getting better, it will take time to develop that relationship and build Norwich City women's profile as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, nothing happens overnight, and it's a long process. Like, Man City started 5 6 years ago, or whenever it was, with the women's team, and it wasn't like that at the start. It's only grown and developed into, like, how it is now, an unbelievable place where people would love to come. And like, it just shows how fortunate we are in a position like this to to have the facilities like we do, the people that we do, and it's not the same for every club, but it's something that it takes time, and it does take a while for people to get to that stage, and hopefully it won't be long before Norwich, before other teams sort of get to that level as well.
And the women's game is, as you say, becoming ever more competitive, and no more so than at international level as well. You're obviously playing for England. Just tell us about how your international cap first came about.
Yeah, so originally I was only meant to be going as a training player. I went with this other girl as well, and
was that the She Believes Cup?
No, this was basically the She Believes Cup was that February, where I went as a training player, and then in October that year I went as a training player again to a fixture camp, and yeah, they were basically saying like, you're just going as a training player, and then suddenly someone dropped out injured. And one morning I just walked to breakfast, and Phil walked past me and was like, "You're in the squad for tomorrow's game." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, you're in the squad." So I was like, "Okay." And I was like thinking to myself, "Gosh, Lauren, compose yourself." And like, I was pretty nervous, to be honest. And then, yeah, so the game came about, and there was about 10-15 minutes to go, and Phil was like, "Lauren, go get ready." And that's sort of when you know that you've got to get ready to come on, basically. And like, I was literally there shaking, like so nervous to come on, and then sort of I got given my opportunity, and it's sort of like the same for the FA Cup final. I just thought, like, give it your best shot, do what you do at club, be fearless and things like that. And yeah, it was incredible. Like, I had a go at running at players, I had a couple of shots as well, and I just thought, like, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to be doing every other month with the England squad. So that sort of gave me the drive, and it gave me a little taster as to where I want to be in the future, and be there quickly.
It seems like you have such an ability to just drown out the noise as well. I love that. Where does that come from?
I don't know, really. Like, like, people always ask me, like, do I get nervous before games? And like, I do. I get really nervous, to be honest, probably more nervous than half the squad. But I think as soon as I step on that pitch, like, my nerves just go, and I just become confident. I sort of take away everything, because I'm like quite, like, I like simple things, like people telling me things, but in like the simplest term possible. So like, I think of like 3 simple things of what I want to achieve in the game, and so that might be run at that player 10 times, take 4 shots, whatever it might be, like, and I only think of them. Like, I take everything else away from the game and just focus on that. I sort of don't think about the occasion or where I'm playing, what I'm doing, whether it's my England debut or an FA Cup final. I just sort of take that all away, and focus on what I'm doing to get the best possible self.
That is incredible clarity of thought for a 20-year-old. My mind is blown by that. Lauren, do you think that something, that ability to focus like that? Do you see that in your peers and your fellow players? Are you all unique like that? Is that what sets you apart to mere mortals like us?
I think so. Like, whenever I look around the change room, everyone's doing their own thing, like preparing however they need to prepare, and everyone's got that process of what they want to do before the game, like how they're going to best prepare, whether that's visualizing the game, whether that's putting one sock on before the other. Like, it all depends, varied on the player, and like, we've each got a routine, and I think that comes from obviously experience. Like, I haven't got as much experience as like half the people in the changing room, but like, they've done the same thing for 10 years leading up to a game. They've played in World Cup finals, semi-finals, Champions League games. So I think obviously they all get nervous, but they know how to deal with it. And I think I'm starting to know how to deal with my nerves, how to be able to play in big occasions like I have done. And it's only with experience that you learn how to deal with that. And I think the more I get exposed to big situations where we're playing in semi-finals, finals, that I'm going to know how to deal with it. And I'm lucky enough to have the experiences that I already have, even at such a young age.
Or have you got any superstitions before a game?
I don't actually. I sort of, the night before a game, I do like to sort of, I sit there and sort of think about the game, and just imagine me doing these unbelievable things. and sort of picture myself doing that. That sort of gives me the confidence to then do it the next day, to think about what I've thought about the night before. And I think that's the only thing I mainly do. Like whenever I'm in the change rooms before the game, I don't think, right, I need to put on that left boot before I put on that right boot. If not, I'm going to have a rubbish game. Like, that doesn't really come to my head. Yeah, I don't do anything in particular.
Do you ever sit and think of the little girl who got turned away from the Centre of Excellence to start with, the little 8-year-old Lauren, and think, cool, I wish I could go back and tell her where I'm going to be in 12 years. That's such a short amount of time for that journey to have taken place. Do you wish you could say to her, it's going to get good?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to tell her is to get her fringe away as quickly as possible. But yeah, like sometimes I think of that. Obviously, it's not always in my head, but like I think that's something, obviously, that setback, like we talked about earlier, that's something that's grown me into the player that I am today. And it is always important to think about things like that, setbacks and injuries that you've had that sort of make you think, look, you won't get to play football for the rest of your life. Like, you'll only be able to do it for the next 10 years or whatever. So make sure you absorb every occasion, enjoy it all, and just go out and do your best. And I think that's one of the main things I think about, because I have had injuries in the past, and I know like how hard it is to not be able to play the game you love doing. So I think just I'm very fortunate to be able to go out every week and be able to do it, because some people can't, and I've experienced that. So it's nice to think about that as well and be fortunate to be able to play.
And as you say, it is a short industry in comparison to most industries, isn't it, playing football? And you talked earlier about potentially moving into coaching. I know you're only 20, you've got years ahead of you, but is that something that you would think about down the line? Would you want to come back to Norwich even?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not saying no to anything at this point in time. Like, at the moment, like, my sight after football is set on being a coach. And like, basically, Jill Scott, she's a coach in herself as well at the moment, and I go and do some soccer schools with her as well and sort of be a coach. I mean, I'm not quite as good as her, I haven't got the experience as her, but I'd like to think in a few years' time I might. And it's nice to get those little experiences as well and opportunities to sort of start my coaching journey. I'm actually doing an online uni degree in sports coaching and development, and so it's all online, like sort of pick and choose when I want to do it, which I don't often want to do uni work, but it's nice to sort of have that. And yeah, like, I'd like to go into coaching when I'm older, and it's nice having sort of Jill, the more experienced players, sort of feeding that information to me on how I can be a better coach. And sort of after football, because obviously, like you said, the industry is only short term and it's not going to last forever. So I'd like to carry that on and sort of have that passion and love for the game even after playing.
It's impossible to predict, Lauren, but where do you see yourself doing that? Do you think, okay, well, I'll stay up in Manchester, I like it here? Are you a Norfolk girl and think, actually, I do miss home? Where do you see sort of future, Lauren?
I'm not sure really. Like, there's parts of Manchester I like. There's parts of, I even used to love being in Bristol, like the city centre, the life there, and like I love the countryside. They're like three different places. Like, Manchester's such like a city centre, sort of busy all the time, whereas Norfolk, Norwich is a more sort of where I'm from, countryside area. So I'm not sure. Like, I always think to myself, where do I think I'll be? And it's hard to sort of think where I'll actually be, like whether it will be coaching in the city or will it be back to where I come from. Like, it'd be nice to experience that, but it just sort of end like it
It's a
depends.
long way away. I wouldn't worry too hard about
You've
it
got
at the moment.
time to think
Yeah.
about it. But what does Norwich mean to you, Lauren?
Um, it means a lot. Like, it's where I grew up, where I'm from. Like, they've done a lot for me when I was younger. They've given me a clear pathway on how I can achieve what I want to do and sort of set me off in my journey to be a professional footballer. So I do love Norwich as a city, and they've done a lot for me. Like, the city in general is a nice place to be around. There's some nice places to go. Like, I live right near a beach, so I go down there, walk the dog with my mum and dad, and it's always nice to come back because it's just really nice to catch up with my friends. And and family, and like I do love Norwich as a city, so it's always nice to go back.
You get recognised quite a bit when you come back.
Sometimes, like I actually got like someone see me in a fish and chip shop, which
Of all
probably wasn't the best place to be noticed. But yeah, it was one of the girls from North Walsham girls football club, and sort of she then told some of her friends, and then a few of her friends came as well. So I did get spotted in the fish and chip shop, which I mean is a good thing, I guess, but probably was better off in like a healthy food
No, it's
restaurant.
nice
Maybe.
to know that you occasionally can treat yourself to fish and chips as well.
Yeah, definitely, and it was my time off, so it was a good time to get it, I guess.
You
But
don't need to make any kind of excuse. It's fine.
yeah, we are all allowed to eat some unhealthy foods sometimes. But no, like sometimes I do get spotted. Like when I went home quite a while ago, I got spotted on the services. So like sometimes I get spotted. To be honest, I'd rather not, because then I'm more interested. I'm like, right, I better do my hair before I come out to go to the services, and then you have to think more about what you look like. So I mean, it's nice to be recognised, but at the right times.
To be on the front page of the EDP, Lauren Hemp snapped in fish and chip shop.
Yeah.
But it means you're obviously a real hero to some of the local girls around here who have got aspirations to follow in your footsteps. That must be a great feeling. You talked about the guys who you play with, who were your heroes. That's now you to some of the young girls around here.
Yeah, it is weird to think that like I'm a role model to younger people. Like when I look up to my role models, like people I play with, like it's crazy to think that people are looking up to me and wanting to be like me. And like it's nice to know that people do look up to me, because like I'd like to be a role model. I'd like to for young girls to be like, I want to be like Lauren Hemp when I'm older. Like it's nice to know that, and like it's also nice to do things like Q&As, things like that, where I get to tell the kids like what it takes to be a professional footballer. And
What does it take, Lauren?
well, like when they say to me, what one piece of advice would you give? Like all I say really is like you got to work hard. It doesn't matter how much talent you have. Like if you don't work hard, if you don't believe in yourself, then it's not going to come true. Like your dreams of being a professional footballer aren't going to come true if you don't put the work in. And like people work long nights, wake up early, make sacrifices. Like I made a sacrifice when I was 16 of moving away from home. Like you do need to make some sacrifices sometimes if you really want to be a professional footballer. And like it doesn't matter how much talent you've got to put that work in. And I think that's the main thing that I live by, is the 1% that are going to make you better, whether that's eating an apple instead of a chocolate bar, or going in an ice bath instead of a normal bath. It's those little things that are going to help you achieve what you want to do, and help you to become a professional footballer.
Wow, that is a very inspiring way to end it on. Thank you so much, Lauren. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on All in Yellow podcast, and all the best for the rest of the season as well. Thank you, Lauren. It's been great speaking.
No worries. Thank
Lauren,
you
you're a
so
star. Thank you so much.